Okay, everyone, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining us today for today's webinar, which is entitled 5 Reasons That You Should Automate Security Incident Responses. We are doing this webinar because of the increased interest in automating not only standard kind of network operations center processes, but now we're getting more and more interest in automating the kinds of processes that need to be automated in response to security incidents at a security operations center. So we wanted to do a little webinar on that, and today I am joined by a couple of individuals, Johanan Sommerfeld, the CIO and Chief Information Security Officer of Playtech PLC, a company that's listed on the London equivalent of the NASDAQ, and they do online gaming software, so they have to deal with a lot of cyber attacks, and he'll be providing some of his insight today on the importance of automating security incident responses. And we'll also be doing a demo with my colleague Yaron Levy, the CTO of IAHU. Okay, so why automate security incident responses? Well, this is actually something that Gartner just released a research paper on, and their analyst had a very insightful comment, and that is that by 2019, 40% of large enterprises will require specialized automated tools to meet regulatory obligations in the event of a serious information security incident. So whether your organization is attempting to comply with HIPAA requirements, Sarbanes-Oxley, or any of a number of other regulatory regimes, in order to do that effectively, you're going to need automation in order to be able to do it. So let's dive into the 5 big reasons why you need security incident response automation. Number 1, automation enables better preparation. One of the most important factors in being ready to deal with a security incident is being prepared, and you can do that manually. You can do that with desk exercises. You can walk through game plans, but automation enables you to do it on a whole nother level. It allows you to simulate and test multiple scenarios in advance of an attack. It also allows you to better validate your playbook, which is what the security experts call sort of the equivalent of a run book in network operations centers. And it also confirms that your team members are ready when the attack occurs. So automation does a much better job of preparing you for an actual attack. Reason number 2, automation enables data enrichment. When an attack occurs, there's information about the incident, but you need more than just information about the incident. You need to collect relevant information about the context of the incident, and automation allows you to collect that information faster and more precisely than you could do manually. And the faster that information and context are collected, the quicker the right decision can be made. So automation is very good at enabling higher quality data enrichment. The third big reason is because automation enables 24/7 coverage. It's probably well known that your best security experts are going to be there during regular hours at your security operations centers, but not as well known or talked about is the fact that you don't always have your best people on around the clock. And so automation allows you to sort of encapsulate the best practices of your top-notch people in these automated playbooks to enable a fast best practice response no matter who's on duty, no matter what time of day. So you're always prepared for the attack with your best response using automation. The fourth reason is because automation enables the automated playbooks. As I mentioned earlier, the playbook is how you orchestrate your response to an attack, and by automating the playbook, you can certainly respond much quicker than you could manually. So automation maximizes the speed of the response. And not surprisingly, automation also reduces the human error aspect of a response. And then, on top of all that, while this is all going on, while you're in the midst of an attack, it's difficult to remember to document things properly. But when you're doing it in an automated fashion, that never gets forgotten. So automation is very good at enabling automated playbooks to do all these things. And the fifth reason is because automation enables rapid containment. Automation will not prevent the attack, but what automation will do is respond quicker to mitigate the scope of the damage. And that rapid containment is very critical in order to minimize the scope of the damage, and that's something that automation does very well. Okay, we're not going to take any questions right now. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass control over to my colleague Johanan Sommerfeld, and he's going to give you an expert's perspective on what the current environment is like for dealing with security incidents. And Johanan, go ahead and take control of the screen.
Okay, great. So sorry for the delay. When visiting big security events like, for example, RSA conference in San Francisco this year, I've seen many security vendors with new security controls for the expected future of cybercrime. The majority of the new solutions are very innovative and provide answers to specific threats in the corporate. The huge amount of security safeguards that is the result of the continuous warfare between attackers and defenders, while the attacker be nations, criminals, or organizations with the ideological agendas, and I must say that I see a lot of those in my day-to-day experience in Playtech. With many changes in the security controls available on the market, I feel that actually security incident response stays behind and that there is a need for a change in order to better cope with the security reality in our organizations. Every security expert will support the following statement: it is not a matter of if, it is a matter of when. We will have to deal with an incident. And in this webinar, I would like to ask the question from a CIO perspective: is there a place for automation in incident response? As far as I see it, there is a place for automation, and I will try also to explain the basis for my statement. Just move to the next slide. Can you just move back? Hold on. Okay. So if we look at the numbers of incidents, then we see actually in 2013 we had an increase of 48%, and in 2014 an additional of 23% of incident and breaches into companies. The frustrating reality is that attackers are far too long in our environments before being detected. Something that I just read in the last weeks by Mandiant is that the median is of 205 days having an attacker in the environment before detected. And at the same time, the number of organizations discovering these intrusions on their own is about 69% of them learned actually about the breach from outside entities, such as law enforcement and maybe even in worst cases, customers. As security teams deploy new defenses, attackers are evolving their tactics all the time. As already mentioned in the beginning, the attackers are moving very fast and develop continuously new tools and strategies to target our organizations. Cyber attacks are getting more numerous and complex. In many cases, very specific attack vectors are developed by attackers in order to stay under the radar of our security teams. The only constant actually in our today's cybercrime landscape is change. Attackers are continuing to evolve, the targets are continuing to expand, and their techniques are continuing to change. But the central narrative stayed the same. Far too many organizations are unprepared for the inevitable breach, allowing attackers to linger far too long in compromised environments. Taking together these developments create a threat landscape that is more complex than ever. The ability of security teams to prevent, detect, analyze, and respond to threat actors has never been harder or more crucial. The classical approach for incident response The same that we are taking also in Playtech and probably many companies contains a lot of operating procedures and technical processes, techniques, checklists, and all kind of forms. The idea of the procedure is to minimize errors, so the errors in the critical response, speed up things, and allow easy training of new security team members. In general, the 4 areas that are covered in today's incident response methodologies are preparations, the detection and analysis of precursors and indicators, next, the containment in order to minimize the impact and eradication, and then all kind of post-incident activities that we will also touch later in this webinar. In most cases, we have to follow these methodologies with the reality of limited budgets, with limited resources of security experts, and enormous pressure that we have in our day-to-day, dealing with all other kind of things that we have to provide. The high-level goal that we have with this incident response capability is actually first to rapidly detect incidents, to minimize the loss and disruption, mitigate the exploited weaknesses, and restore IT services as quickly as possible. In many cases, our security incident response methodology is really good, but unfortunately not fast enough. The incident detection, for example, would be easy if all indicators were right, but this is not the case, and therefore we have to review many indicators which need significant time efforts. There are many steps required for a good validation and containment of an incident. As long as all those steps are performed entirely manually, the process is slow and requires many experts. Unfortunately, we do not have in our organizations, and I believe this is something that most of you share with me, we don't have enough amount of people and also not the quality of the resources needed. So actually the result can be seen in poor incident response in our organizations. So what is actually common to all those incidents that we are seeing in organizations, those that are published in the news? All of them are actually sharing that they are, in most cases, really recognizing the incidents too late. And the reasons, if you look at it, is actually that alarms and incidents are left unhandled. The validation itself takes too long, so we see many events and alarms, but it takes us a lot of time and efforts to understand if it's a real incident or actually a false alarm. Missing security knowledge that we have in our teams, and as already before mentioned by Guy, the 24/7 team coverage. Actually, an attack is not waiting for daytime. It is happening all the time. I must say actually that my personal experience shows that it is actually in most cases happening at night. There are no playbooks, a lot of human errors. The containment, which is very important when we have an incident, is too late. It is not properly documented and also not properly communicated. So people that should be aware are not aware on time. People are not prepared. So actually in real time, they don't know what to do. And there is no response simulation. Actually, there are many things that we could simulate, but we're not doing that. And as well, also no testing. If we have good responses in place, we should test them, and this is also something that in most cases is really not happening. The problem is that we have an incident, and also people are working very hard under stress, and at the end of the day, they are very frustrated. The morale is very low due to the fact that the outcome is very bad. As described, security incident response requires many facets of IT, and therefore people with broad knowledge. I believe, and I hope that most of you agree with me, that we should not waste the professional resources for work that we can do with automation. I'm convinced that the classical incident response knowledge, together with the automation, sums up to a good and fast security incident response capability that is really needed in our today's organizations in the day-to-day work. Even in the preparation part of the good incident response, there is quite a lot of potential for automation, as Guy did mention already. But in the next 3 slides, I would like to focus on areas of highest potential. By intention, I'm staying at high level in order to stimulate all of you to find opportunities for automation in your organization. But if you look, for example, at the detection and analysis phase, then we're asking ourselves following questions. What precursors of incidents might the organization detect? Would any precursor cause the organization to take action before the incident occurred? What indicators of the incident might the organization detect? Which indicators would cause someone to think that an incident might have occurred? What additional tools might be needed to detect this particular incident? How would the incident response team analyze and validate the incident? What personnel would be involved in the analysis and validation process? To which people and groups within the organization would the team report the incident? How would the team prioritize the handling of this incident? During the detection and analysis, we're acting as following, and I'm sure that automation of parts of these actions is definitely possible. Because what you would do normally, what we're doing is determine whether an incident has occurred or not. Analyze precursors and indicators. Look for correlating information and enrich information. Perform research, like looking at search engines, knowledge bases. If a real incident exists, begin with documenting the evidences and gathering evidences, categorizing and prioritizing the incidents, and reporting the incident to internal or sometimes, if needed, or even external organizations. So if you look at all those things, I'm quite sure that significant parts can be automated, and we will have a look later on also in the presentation how we can do that. Also in the containment, eradication, and recovery phase, there is quite a lot of potential for automation. Because what we are doing normally is really requiring, preserving, securing documents as evidences. We contain the incident. There's quite a lot of things that we can do here automated. We identify and mitigate all vulnerabilities that were exploited. We remove malware, inoperate material, other documents from machines that were infected. If more affected hosts are discovered, we repeat even the detection and analysis to find other potential for eradication. We recover from the incident as fast as possible, return systems to operational states. We confirm that affected systems are functioning, so there's a lot of testing that we could do here. And if necessary, we're implementing monitoring for specific future activities. So again, I state that all those things that we are doing today, almost only manually, have a lot of potential for automation. Even in the post-incident activities, I believe that there are some things that we could automate. Normally what we're doing today, we are creating follow-up reports, we're holding lesson learned meetings, and we perform all kinds of vulnerability testing, penetration testing, and code analysis. So also here, I'm convinced that there is potential for automation. The entire potential of automation mentioned in the presentation requires the ability to orchestrate all kinds of different security controls and measurements deployed in our organization. And I think that IAO has exactly this orchestration capability and is therefore an excellent pillar for a good and fast incident response. Example exactly for those integrations are ticketing systems, intelligence feeds, SIEM systems, external communication capabilities like mail, configuration management, sandboxing, etc., etc. So there are many, many opportunities actually to use the integration capabilities, the orchestration capabilities that exist in order to automate exactly those things that we're doing today manually. I would like to take just one example in order to really illustrate a bit better what I meant with the high-level statements that I gave before. So in this last slide, I would like to illustrate a brute force attack scenario and to present the related information enrichment that could be automated, as well as the possible actions that have potential for automation. So the possible questions that we would ask ourselves if we see an alarm of a brute force attack is, for example, is the user a valid user in Active Directory? Definitely something that we could query automatically and provide this enrichment to the security analyst that is coming later in order to have a look at this potential incident. Is the user a member of a critical group? Does the user have administrative privileges? Is the user currently locked or not? Did the user reset the password recently? All those questions and probably more we would normally ask, and this is normally what a security analyst would do when he has such a brute force attack alarm. The possible actions, again here we have a potential to do part of those things automatically, is ask the person behind the user if he failed to log in. This is something that we can do via SMS if we would like to make sure that this user cannot log in at this stage. Lock disabled accounts if this is not already something that happened through the policy that we have in place. Send the host to a different VLAN using NAC, IPS, or any kind of switching capabilities that we have. As mentioned, inform the user via SMS and report every step with a ticket in the ITSM system, making sure that actually we are conforming with the change management requirements that we have, as well as with the evidence reporting that we need. So this is just a very, very small example that I believe happens many, many times in organizations and today requires a lot of manual resources, and I believe that a significant part of it could be automated without any problem. So this was just really giving you an overview. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts on incident response automation. And I will be happy to answer questions that are related also to the presentation or going maybe a bit more into detail before we are seeing actually the capabilities of the IAO specifically in the incident response area.
Thanks, Yochanan. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and transfer over control to Yaron, and we're going to see a live demo of what security incident response automation actually looks like.
Thanks, guys. Can you hear me well?
Loud and clear.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. My name is Yaron Levy. I'm the CDO in IAO. And I'm going to give you a bit of overview of our solution and how it can help you to, work out with your security incidents. Our solution, iShare, basically is an enterprise-scale, lightweight orchestration solution that allows you to integrate it with any type of SIEM solutions that are there on the market. It can be ArcSight, can be Splunk, whatever. Intercept alerts being generated from those systems and then kick your workflow based on a policy that you're going to see very soon how easily it is to define over here. Basically, it's a workflow that you can drag and drop and build and design the process that you would like to execute in order to respond to all kinds of security threats that you guys are getting. I know that not everything can be automating around security, but you will find that there are a lot, and this is based on what Yohanan said, there are a lot of actions that you can use the orchestration, the automation solution in order to automate and get, more information about, analytic information about how do you want to respond to those incidents, or even do some containment actions immediately in order to prevent further damage to the organization. A bit of I'll start with a bit of an overview about the solution, and then I'll deep dive in a specific example. The actual solutions come with two main interfaces. The one that you're seeing right now is the dashboard. The dashboard basically lets you to see alerts, events that are coming from your SIEM solutions. Everything can be centralized into one place over here, but not only see the alerts themselves, but actually people can view what are the actions, what are the troubleshooting and the containment actions that are being done by the automation immediately when this happens, and we're going to see that later on in the demo. The second interface, this is the studio. This is where you can design and build very easily the processes that you would like to automate and respond to incidents. Basically, Azure comes with a visual designer that allows you, just by drag and drop, build the different types of processes that you would like to automate. There's no coding or development skills involved here. Anyone that is familiar with Visio and knows how to drag and drop with his mouse can actually build workflows over here very easily. So it's a drag and drop interface. On the left side, it comes with over 500 different types of actions, ready actions that you guys can drag and drop and design the process that you would like to automate. Just give you a few examples. For instance, dealing with Active Directory, there are security issues that you'll need to integrate with your Active Directory in order to do all kinds of actions, maybe to query some user information, maybe to disable user, maybe to reset his password. Some of the sample security processes that we're seeing customers using is around password reset for users and unlocking user accounts remotely, and send notification to user before their password is about to expire. All these things can be very easily automated just using the Active Directory. Over here, there are lots of all types of actions. If you need to disconnect a server from the network, if you need to shut down a desktop remotely, if you need to check files and look for some security error messages within the log file or whatever, again, a lot of actions, 500 different types of actions that allows you to build any type of process that you would like to do. Now, depends on your security solution. Azure can easily integrate and orchestrate whatever containment procedure you guys want to do. So if it's an integration with your firewall, an integration with your antiviruses system in order to kick some antivirus on a remote server, everything can be done as long as those solutions support APIs. Then you will find out that it's very easily to use Azure and call all kinds of methods around there. So again, drag and drop, you design the process that you would like to do very easily. This is a sample process that I'm going to demonstrate in a few seconds, and I'm going to focus on a scenario where we're getting a trigger, an alert from our SIEM, from our side, from our SIEM solution, about a user that was identified that is being logged in from a remote VPN while we know that this guy is in the office. He's just logged into the Active Directory in the past 2 hours. So there's no chance he's outside and try to use the VPN in order to access. So this is kind of a breach. Someone probably, took his password and used that. And this is a very common scenario where you're seeing where cases where someone's trying to breach from outside. Now, again, at this point, you don't really know if the guy that comes from the VPN is the wrong guy or the guy within the office is the wrong guy. We're going to take some containment steps, actions in order to block both ways and in order to, restrict this guy from doing any further actions immediately. So this is the process that we're going to take within the workflow. I'm going to talk about this process in a few seconds. Let me just, demonstrate this scenario for you. What I'm going to do, I'm going to simulate an alert or an event coming from our side. You'll see in a second. Incoming critical, it's red, it's critical alert coming into our site and unauthorized login access. The user is John. He tried to access from the VPN and also he's logging in his Active Directory in the past 2 hours. And this is the workflow that is being running right now in order to restrict this guy from further doing damage to the organization. So the first step was actually, hey, one of the capabilities is that every alert that Asher is getting has the capability to parse the message and extract whatever information from the message itself. So the first thing you want to extract is the username, and this is John. Interacting with the firewall, we want to know from which IP addresses this guy is connected to our network. So you can see that the external, the one that comes from the VPN, this is his IP address. The one that comes from the internal, probably this is his desktop. Over here. Next step, immediately disable this guy's Active Directory account, okay, in order to prevent any access to further resources within our network. So we're disabling his account. Next step, disable the VPN connection. So we're disconnecting the VPN. We're disabling this user account, so the user will not be able to use the VPN anymore. We have another step over here that we can actually engage with the building security system and disable this guy badge, so he will not be able to, work around and go to other different floors or whatever. Again, we don't know if this guy, if the real guy is the one that comes from the VPN or the one that is now in the building. We're going to disable his badge as well. Shut down his desktop immediately. So if he's working on something, we're going to shut it down immediately. We don't want him to do any more damage. Querying Active Directory, we want to get his phone number, his mobile number, because we want to send him a notification that we have just now disabled his account, so he will know that something is going on. So this is the send SMS action that notifies the user about this action. Next action, who knows to what server this guy tried to log in and what damage this guy tried to do. So we're communicating both with the firewall and with the local network equipment to extract the list of servers or desktop that this guy tried to access during the past 2 hours. So you can see that I've queried my firewall and I get the list of all the resources that this guy tried to use in the past 2 hours. And the next step will be just to go one by one to this server and actually call an antivirus to kick it and run it over there, just to to start scanning and see if this guy tried to do some damage over there. So running an antivirus is just one step out of thousands of other steps that you can call and try to do that on the remote servers. Eventually, the next step will be to document everything inside the ticketing system. I'm using ServiceNow, probably you all heard about it. That's my ticketing system. And you can see that I should just created a security incident within ServiceNow 191. And inside all the information about that this is a security issue. John was the unauthorized user that was detected. And all the information, whatever forensic information, whatever analysis that you guys are going to do through the automation itself can all be documented as part of the ticket. And you can see that the description about the alert. You can see the information about the IP addresses that the user tried to log in, the steps that the workflow are made in order to restrict the user, so disabling his Active Directory account, disconnect his VPN, desktop shutdown, whatever. It's all over here. And also all the servers that this guy tried to use, they're all recorded within the ticket, so that for further investigation, people can come back to this ticket and see exactly what happened over here. Going back, so basically what you witness right now is a process that was kicked off of an alarm or an event that came from a SIEM system. And the first thing that you want to do is, hey, let's restrict this user. We don't want to have any further damage to our system, so we're disconnecting him from all whatever resources that he may try to use. but also we're acting proactively and starting running antiviruses on places that this guy visited within the past 2 hours. Going back to the workflow. Again, the workflow was designed just by drag and drop and calling all kinds of actions that can help you to start this containment. So this is where we access the firewall and ask for the IP addresses that this user is using. This is where we communicate with the Active Directory, the AD disable account, and actually instruct the Active Directory to disable this account immediately. You can see that I'm using variables over here. And again, I told you that one of the capabilities is to parse the message that you're getting from the outside alert from the SIEM, and we're able to extract the exact username, IP addresses, whatever you need from the alert itself, and then use that in the workflow itself. So basically, at the end of the day, you're going to have some generic process that deal with that. As long as the scenario is the same, the policy is the same, it doesn't matter which users we're going to get the alert for. We're going to use variables all over the workflow in order to process it. Disable the VPN access. We're disconnecting the user from the VPN. Disable the badge, so the person will not be able to walk around the building. Shut down his desktop. This is where we query the Active Directory, requesting the user mobile number. We want to send him a text message. This is where we send him a text message. Hello, you have been disconnected from the network. Please contact immediately to the SOC department. Okay, so he's getting a text message. He doesn't understand why his desktop is now being shut down and he's not able to access anything anymore. But this is how we notify him immediately about this situation. Getting from the firewall all the list of servers that this guy tried to visit in the past 2 hours. Going one by one through this while interaction and calling the antivirus in order to see if there were any damages on those remote server. Opening the tickets within ServiceNow, within your ticketing system. By the way, we support not only the ServiceNow, we also support the BMC Remedy, the Service Manager, whatever ticketing system you guys are using, that it will be supported through Azure. And in the end, notify the SOC manager and telling him, hey, there was an unauthorized access for this specific user over the VPN, and as a reference, this is the ticket number that was created. And basically, that's it. This is how simple you can build and design different type of processes. Now, let's take it one step further, where we want to have some control about who we're going to disable or not. So I have another sample process, which is basically the same process with a bit different, where there are cases where the alerts can come with the username of the CEO or maybe some VP manager in your organization, and probably you don't really want to just go ahead and disconnect this guy and then shut down his server unless you want to lose your job. So let's say you would like to have some communication with some kind of approval process before doing all these actions. So this is where this is my workflow. I've added this part to the same workflow I showed you a minute ago, which basically can query some remote databases and bring the list of managers, CEO, whatever, important people that you want to get to an approval cycle before, restricting this user out. And once we found that the user that we received the alert for is one of the manager, we're going to send the admin or the SOC manager a text message saying, hey, this is a manager. Do you approve disabling this user account? And think that the SOC manager is going to get a text message. And it doesn't have to be a text message. It can be an email. It can be also a voice call. We support all kinds of communication here through Azure. If I don't approve it, then we're just going to terminate this workflow. But if we do approve it, then only then it will go through the next steps of the containment actions and will restrict this user from further using this system. Again, everything here was just drag and drop very easily. Okay, there's nothing, no coding that I require over here. If I have to do another database query, just going to drag it over here, and inside I can build my own query, and that's it. Basically, this is it from a high level. All right, want to take it?
Okay, thank you, Yaron, and I'll just bring it back to my screen. Give me 1 second here, please. And now is a good time for anybody who wants to ask any questions to feel free to fire away.
Yes, I have a question.
Get a copy of the PowerPoint. Yes. Is there a way that we that are just calling in can get a copy of these PowerPoint presentations?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll make a recording of this presentation available, and we also post these on SlideShare afterward.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions?
Yes. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. We're talking about speed. When you're talking, you know, a quick response, doing all the...
No, me quedo en
background.
Yes, go ahead.
When you talk about speed, to do all the analytics, all the actions, and in the demo we've seen that it takes a couple of seconds. What in real life? I mean, how fast does it take to do all these actions by, you know, checking if the server was infected, if, you know, the user is actually a valid user, he has an account?
Yeah, I would
what are we talking about, seconds, minutes?
Yeah, it's a good question. In my demonstration, I, on purpose, build those actions to run one by one, just for it to be slower so I can explain it, okay? That's the reason, but you're right, in production, what's going to happen is that, you know, some of those steps can be in parallel to others. If we're disabling a user account, immediately we want to also disable the VPN and shut down the desktop all at the same time. So, you know, one of the actions that you can use is a parallel activity that allows you to call a number of actions, run all together. So we're talking about, you know, it's a matter of seconds that all these actions will be, you know, executed at the same time, and not as I just right now demonstrated, and to go one by one.
Okay, thank you. And another question, since the nature of the attacks keeps changing so fast, what does it take to make a change in the workflow itself? I mean, do I have to start from all over again if I want to make some modifications? Or can I take, you know, an existing workflow and just modify it slightly by adding, I don't know, security questions or removing some steps?
Yeah, so, you know, as you witnessed, this is very easily interfaced. So drag and drop, you can always come back to the same process and, you know, change and modify whatever steps, if you want to add more steps or disable some of the steps very easily to do that and very quickly. You can also back up and maybe look at different versions if you need to. You can export and import processes from a dev environment to production. You don't have to rebuild everything. So it all comes to a very quick, you know, ability to modify and update those workflows.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Serie, esas cosas.
Pablo, que ande bien.
No.
Any other questions? Okay, well, it doesn't seem like we have any other questions. If anybody thinks of any after the webinar, feel free to email them to us. We'll be happy to answer any and all questions you may have. And just to wrap things up, for those of you that are interested in taking a closer look at how to orchestrate an automated response to your security incident, you can try out our solution for free. Just go to iahu.com, and right on our website there's a download menu, and if you go there, you'll be able to get a free trial version of iShare. It's got all the features that were demonstrated today, and we'll be happy to help you get it configured and working with your environment free of charge as well during the evaluation period. And if you have any of those questions that you think of after the webinar, there is my email address, and of course you can also just go to our website and submit it in a form format. And I guess that will wrap it up. So thank you all very much for your time today, and hopefully we gave you some interesting new perspectives on how to automate security incident responses. And we look forward to seeing you at our next webinar. Thanks a lot, everyone.